Hello students, welcome back to your English class. Now today students we will start a new chapter from your English grammar book, and that is chapter number 5, verbs. Now students, what are verbs? Verbs are doing words. So verbs are words that express actions, being and possession. Verbs are words that express action, being and possession. Now, we cannot form a sentence without a verb. It is mandatory that a sentence should have a verb. Sometimes we use more than one word to form the verb in a sentence. Let us look at some examples. The first example. Smita walks in the garden. What is the verb here, students? The verb here is walks. Now, this verb is made up of one word. In the next example, Smita is walking in the garden. What is the verb here? Is walking. And this verb is consisted of two words, is and walking. Now students, some verbs express actions. Then they tell us what people, animals and things are, what they have and what they do, think, say or feel. Now let's look at some of the examples. Ruhi's father is a cricketer. So what the doer is? The doer is a cricketer. And who is the doer here? Ruhi's father. In the next example, my mother has a white car. What the doer has? A white car. So the doer is here, my mother. And in these two sentences, what are the verbs? Is and has. In the third example, I was happy to see my aunt. What the doer feels and does? The doer is happy to see her aunt. Now students, different forms of the verb be, that is the verb be, has different forms that tell us what a person or a thing is. Now, let us look what are the be verbs. Is, are, am, was, were, been and being. Now students, different forms of the verb have. Now the verb have has different forms that show possession or belonging. And what are the forms? Has, have, had. Now students, verbs change form according to the number of nouns they tell us about. So according to the number of nouns in a sentence, the verb changes. So let's look at the examples. My brother plays in the park. So my brother is a singular noun. So the verb is also singular, that is plays. In the next example, my brothers play in the park. Here the noun is plural, my brothers. So the verb is also plural, that is play. Now students, there are two main classes of verbs, main verb and auxiliary verbs, which are also called as helping verbs. Now students, main verbs are very large in number, while auxiliary verbs are a small group. Now we will look at some of the examples of the main verbs and the auxiliary verbs or the helping verbs. Now, main verbs. Examples: eat, study, run, erase, understand, etc. There are many, many more. Auxiliary verbs example: be, do, have, will, can, may, shall, would, could, might, should, and must. So, these are the examples of the auxiliary or the helping verbs. Now, students, main verbs can occur independently or in combination with auxiliary verbs in a sentence. That means, main verbs can stand individually in a sentence, or they at times stand with the auxiliary verbs in a sentence. But auxiliary verbs cannot stand independently. They take the help of the main verbs. So, auxiliary verbs cannot stand independently and always occur in combination with main verbs. Now, we will look at two examples. Let us look at the examples. Neha bought a candle. So here the verb is bought and it is the main verb. Let's look at the next example. Neha will buy a candle. Here will is the helping verb and buy is the main verb. So students, this was the explanation of the chapter verbs. I hope you have understood the explanation. Go through the chapter and then this video. Then all your doubts will be cleared. I will again meet you in the next class. Till then, goodbye everyone. Stay at home and be safe. Thank you everyone.